afternoon, everyone. On behalf of the California ISO, I'd like to welcome you to the subscriber participating transmission owner market scheduling options stakeholder call to discuss the revised draft tariff language, which was posted last week. The draft tariff language which was posted last week, and then comments, that was posted on May 15th, and then the comments that were due last Friday. My name is Elena Coppola-Alford, representing ISO Stakeholder Affairs, and I'll be facilitating the conference today. I'm joined by John Anders, Deputy General Counsel on Development, and Riddy Ray, Contracts Negotiator. And before we get started, just a quick reminder, these materials are available on the Subscriber PTO Market Scheduling Options Initiative page. You can get to that page by going to kaiso.com, navigating to the Stakeholder Center tab at the top, selecting Policy Initiatives, and that'll take you to the main initiative landing page. From there, you can navigate to the Subscriber PTO Market Scheduling Options page. You can type SPTO and it will come up for you. And the latest documents, as well as the red lines, will be at the top of that page. A couple housekeeping reminders. Before we get started, this call is being recorded for informational and convenience purposes only. Any related transcription should not be reprinted without the ISO's permission. The meeting is structured to stimulate dialogue and engage different perspectives. And please keep your comments professional and respectful. And please try to be brief and refrain from repeating what's already been said so we can manage our time efficiently today. To raise your hands, first make sure that you open the participant chat panels on the bottom right of WebEx. They are minimized, and you will find the raised hand icon at the bottom of that participant panel. If you connected to the audio through your computer, use the call me option. The raised hand icon is there at the bottom of that panel. And if you dialed in outside of WebEx, you can press *3 to get into the question queue, and we will call on you by phone. And however you raise your hand, please make sure you state your name and affiliation before making your comment. And you can send your questions in the chat as well to all panelists, and we will read those from there. If you need any technical assistance during the meeting, you can send a chat to the event producer. They are showing as Interlore Events, and today's event producer is Ryan. Okay, so here's where we are in the initiative stakeholder process. This was just approved at the May 22nd ISO board meeting and before the tariff filing. So from here, I'm going to be handing it over to John Anders, who's going to be sharing his screen.
Thanks, Elena. Thanks, everyone, for joining. Did receive 2 sets of comments, one from PG&E and one from Pattern. So what I'm sharing now is a incremental red line, annotated red line of that draft tariff language that is still posted to address the comments and to facilitate any follow-up or discussion today, so we can finalize the tariff language for submission with our filing to the Commission. And with that, I'm not sure, but I hope we have a representative from Pattern and PG&E on the line, but we'll get started here. So the first comment that we received was from Pattern, and it concerned this existing tariff language, and it's an exemption from the access charge for subscribers that self-schedule using their CRNs. And essentially, Pattern requested an expansion of this to include economic bids corresponding to CRRs, in other words, under the proposal. And we don't view this as a necessary addition to this language. It's my understanding that the subscriber, schedules, in other words, in order to economically bid and to support an export schedule on that subscriber transmission facilities, they will need to basically associate a specific resource to the export location, and that's necessary to ensure that that economic bid, is supporting that export. So I think that that's the right way to approach this, and we'll address that implementation sort of detail in the BPM, but I would be open to other comments, particularly if Pattern had a view on this, and I have Rudy Ray on the line to answer any questions if we have further questions. So let's see if we can focus on this first and open the line for any comments. I can't really see Elena, so you can watch and facilitate anything
Yeah.
coming in.
Yeah, I'm not seeing any raised hand right now. Yeah, or any comments in the chat. And if you're not seeing the raised hand icon for anybody that's joined on the line, make sure you open that participant panel. Okay, I'll flag any hands that I see as we go as well.
Okay, thank you. And we'll just move on if somebody was having difficulty accessing the raised hand or whatever, we'll circle back to that. This next section is really where most of the comments appeared. So the first I'll summarize is PG&E requested a clarification. Previously, we sort of had this long single run-on-ish sentence that kind of try to capture everything. And so it's a little messy here, and I can turn off the track changes so we can see it more clearly. And we've highlighted the incremental changes in red line to allow for that. But essentially, what we've done is we've broken up the sentence into multiple sentences, and I'll get to that in just a second, and we'll walk through that and make sure everyone understands that. But meanwhile, there was a pattern comment, and instead of sort of this concept that we'll have a 2-year period commencing on the commercial operation date of the last generating unit interconnected to the subscriber PTO facilities. They requested a date certain for the 2-year period, and they suggested Q3 of 2028. That would be approximately 2 years after this event would occur with respect to their transmission facilities. But it's unclear, exactly when that will happen or if this would be completed by that time. And the policy itself actually described a 2-year period. So we're going to stick with the 2-year period commencing on that commercial operation date. And also the language that follows ensures that the period from when they turn over operational control of those facilities. So when sort of the first generating unit becomes interconnected and operational, that period is also included, so that in other words, it's 2 years plus whatever that interim time frame is from commercial operation of the first generating unit to commercial operation of the last generating unit plus 2 years. So that's our response on that. And I'm going to keep going, and if anybody has any questions, we can follow up in a second. Let me just turn this off. So what we did was we cleaned things up, and so the incremental changes are shown in yellow here. So now we have several sentences that basically say the same thing that was in the draft tariff language. So we just say that for a 2-year period, the non-subscriber usage payments will be calculated for the import schedules on those facilities, but not collected or allocated in accordance with the tariff. So that was moved up, and then we talk about how long this period is going to last, and it says it will commence on the commercial operation date of the last generating unit interconnected to those facilities. And then we say, and will include the period from the date that the SPTO turns over operational control of its transmission facilities to the ISO up to the commencement of that 2-year period. So in other words, it's inclusive. It's in the pattern example or hypothetical with Q2 2028 and a fall 2025 implementation, the total period would approximately be about 2.5 years. So we expect that's about what it'll run, but it'll be dependent on these dates. And then we clarify that during, or excuse me, that the exception only applies to the first SPTO that turns over operational control of its facilities, and any other subscribing PTO that may turn over operational control during that period, provided that period ends for all of the applicable SPTOs upon the expiration of that 2-year period. So it doesn't run anew for each subsequent SPTO. It commences once with the first SPTO and runs for that period. But if another SPTO were to turn over operational control of its facilities, it would also be included in this exception, and it would run for them for whatever period of time remained until the first subscriber's 2-year period terminated, and then it'd end for everybody, and then we'd be back to normal or whatever you want to call it. So those are the totality of the changes, and we've left it all in double red lines. We'll clean it all up, obviously, for filing, but I'll just pause there for any questions.
Sean, we've got one hand from Race Adams.
Race, you are unmuted.
Yeah, I'm still not clear on what you mean by operational control. Can you clarify that?
Thanks, Race.
Sure.
And can you also introduce yourself and what organization you're with?
I'm Reese Adams. I'm with Salt River Project.
Okay, thanks.
Sure, Reese. I appreciate the comment or question. So we mean when we use the term operational control, that is when a participating transmission owner turns over control of its transmission facility. So they become operational under CAISO's, service offering, if you will. So it's a specific date, and so that would be the date here when it commences, the date they turn over operational control, and that's in our tariff. It defines that in reference to the transmission control agreement. So the defined term operational control says in accordance with the transmission control agreement. So that's the mechanics of it. If you want more technical details on what that means or when that occurs, maybe Rudy can help. But does that answer your question, Reese?
No, not really. I still don't understand what that means. Right? I mean, SunZia is just a transmission customer of ours, right? So.
Okay. Oh,
Yeah.
fair enough, Reese. Okay. From your perspective, from SRP's perspective as the transmission customer, so what's happening is that SunZia has made available its transmission service rights on the SRP system, and I guess it's Tucson and Arizona as well. But they've made those rights available under the transmission control agreement as an entitlement. And so we've been very clear and worked with SRP to ensure that those rights then become available and in accordance with obviously the TCA and all the rest of it, but subject to the use limitations and other requirements for transmission service administered by SRP under its OAT.
And John, and Reese, this is really, and to John's point, like the operational control in SunZia's case is something we have been defining publicly, subject to the concerns that SRP and other Arizona entities had raised, because these are physical facilities that are not within the ISOBA. The ISO does not control them. We are nor is SunZia the TO transmission operator for these facilities. So our rights within the paradigm of operational control mechanically is limited to allowing these rights to be scheduled on in the ISO market and coordinate with SRP for outages and derates and how those would affect our rights. What we have stated in agreements, that multiple agreements we filed at FERC, is that these rights are subject to SRP's oaths, and we will respect those limitations and implement it accordingly. But just in this case, we are using operational control as a broader term, but we have defined the specifics in multiple agreements that speak specifically to SunZia.
Fair enough. Thanks for the clarification.
Yep.
Yeah.
No problem, Reese. Appreciate it. And just to be clear about that, the transmission control agreement and other agreements that Riddy was describing are they govern over this language here for sure. So this is just the marker. It's that date, you know, and you can look to the HVDC line at the same time. So either way. Okay.
Okay, we don't have any other hands in queue, John.
Okay. Okay, so that was that section, and then we got to the section about the various procedures and characteristics of these converted, I don't want to say converted rights, but these subscriber rights that have been converted to CRRs. And so here again, Pattern had a comment, and they wanted to, or suggested adding the term subscriber to modify the term CRRs. And we would prefer not to approach the clarification in that way. We think that adding the term subscriber to CRRs sort of, it becomes a concatenated term, and it looks like it's a different class of CRRs, and we really don't want to do that or imply that. What we really have is once you follow these procedures, these subscriber rights and convert them to CRRs, they're treated like any other CRRs except they're option CRRs. And so we've clarified here that the CRRs created by the conversion of subscriber rights as opposed to just calling them the subscriber CRRs. And then down below, we've made a few little minor cleanup edits, and then we've also carried that through to these bottom two references that previously had used the term we just said we'd prefer not to use. So we've corrected that down here as well, and just now we say CR is created by the conversion of subscriber rights. So that's the approach we're taking here. Otherwise, there were no comments on this tariff language. Any other comments?
There are no hands in the queue.
All right. Well, I think that's the end then. So we do not have more tariff language, so it's relatively straightforward. And again, we appreciate the comments, the participation. And I'm going to open it up one last time just to double check, make sure we don't have anyone that wishes to say anything, because what we're going to do is we're going to finalize this tariff language. We'll probably just repost it just for information. And, you know, if anything comes up, we will entertain to the extent we can any follow-up comments, but we are moving forward based on the board approval. I guess that was last week, and we'll be submitting this with the commission next week, and probably looking to receive an order on about 60 days notice, and we'll be doing that to support SunZia's anticipated, I guess, energization testing and other things in September. So any other questions? I'm just going to stop sharing here somewhere. There it goes. Now I can't see where the stop share.
Okay, I think we're all set. I'm not seeing any other hands. Feel free while we're going over next steps. If you still have a question or think of a question or a comment, you can raise your hand or you can add it into the chat. So as John had mentioned, we posted this and the comments were due last week. This is our meeting to review this language, and in a couple of days, we're going to be posting the final language. And on June 2nd, we had an optional meeting scheduled if we needed that, which it looks like with the reviewing the material and how many questions and changes are there, that it sounds like we're not going to need that. And we have the target filing date as June 6th. If you want to look up any of the documents, we have the links here. And if you have any additional questions, you can contact us at ISO Stakeholder Affairs at CAISO.com. And in an effort to help you stay engaged with initiatives here at the ISO, we do include these slides here for all activities that are going on this week. And as always, we have our promo for our Energy Matters blog for insights into the ISO grid and market operations. You can be on the lookout for this, and you can always subscribe. And with that, I don't see any other hands or any other questions. I'd like to thank you for joining today's discussion. And as a reminder, this meeting was recorded for informational convenience purposes only, and the video file will be posted to the initiative page early next week. Thank you so much for joining today's discussion. Have a good rest of your day.
All right, that concludes our conference. You may now disconnect.